Unleash your creativity with your microwelder, episode 4. I'm going to show you how to make these glamorous Herkimer diamond shoulder duster earrings. This technique has infinite possibilities for elegant and popular selling jewelry. I have here partial strand of Herkimer diamonds, which are clear quartz, and they're 2 millimeters, very small. And the only wire that the thickest wire, I should say, that I could get through the beads is 26 gauge. So that is what I'm going to use right now. I haven't decided on how long I want the earrings to hang. So what I'm going to do is secure the bottom, see how it drapes before cutting. It's a great idea. And if you don't have to cut it immediately, it's always wonderful to have the option. First, I use flush cutters. So this side flat, because I want as much surface space area when I weld back onto itself. And then I use a pair of round nose pliers and a guide like this to a loop. And then I continue so that it is just slightly over, touching on top of itself. And I have used this technique in other areas, and I'll review that later, but it's just slightly over, not halfway, so that when you use a pair of pliers and you press down, it doesn't click because it slides over onto the side. If it's too much over, you press down, it'll go over on the other side, but you want it on this side of the wire, like this. And now we open it. I pivot out like this so that you can see it, so that it's just that way. Because you don't want the circle, you don't want to pull it open widthwise, you just want to pop it up a bit. So now I close it back down, and as I'm closing, I make sure the sides are grinding closed and maximum touching. Now we're ready to weld. Okay, I created this big thick wire just to show you better. So this has wrapped its back, and what you want to do is where you want the electrode to meet is not on top like this. You want it like this, because otherwise it is also difficult to reach here without risk of this hitting this side and breaking it off. Where ideally you want is to hit slightly more on the round part here, touching that. When this melts, okay, the current goes through, you want this part, this to be melted and touching that. You don't want most of the electrode on this side because it will likely melt this shaft and either this gets crooked or the whole thing falls out. Okay, here we go. This is 26 gauge. I've got 3.5 watts. And I'm just going to move the chain away from the connection. Hang on. Okay, there. I guess I was a little bit nervous and I kept moving. Not sure if you can see that. this is the result. I'm not sure if you can see it. I'm going to try to zoom in. Basically, this part, you can see where the shiny bit is. That's been melted together without the bar being thinner. That is the ideal. And now all I have to do is straighten it. So what I do is I hold on to it like this. You don't want just one side. You want it even so that it is not bent. There are no marks. If you have a death grip, try to use pliers without serrated edge and use tape around it. So now I just need to hold on to this and go right there. You don't want to move from here to apply too much stress, but when you are straightening any sort of metal, it is much easier if you've got as much grip and ease into it. And now you have something that is perfectly round. That's pretty good. And then we're going to use our brush to clean here, and using the tip, don't put it so high, because when it's low, it's a little bit stiffer and you can get it a lot cleaner. So there we go. That's side done. And then I'm just going to cut a bit extra of wire like this. And then I'm going to thread my beads. So here I've threaded 7 beads, number that I wanted. Few tips here. Sometimes, especially Herkimers or anything that is irregular or don't fit together, twist them around so that they fall naturally to make sure that there's no gap. Okay, so make sure as tight as possible, and that's how much I have left. And I've chosen actually a heavier stone at the very top here, because when it drops, that is going to be bottom, and I want the heavier stone in the bottom. You don't have to, but just know the direction which you want those, and see if you like it by turning around, making sure that it's a bit tight. Okay, so now we are ready. This is going to be too long for me, and I really just need about 2 millimeters. The other thing is, this wire is very tight to get through already. That means that it's a good fit. If your bead, the hole is large, you might want this to be longer so that you can ball bigger. And I'll show you a separate trick a little bit later. And I'm just going to leave about 2 millimeters like this. And we're going to weld now. Okay. And I'm going to put it slightly higher at 5 watts and see how it goes. I could go higher or lower a little later. Let's see. Okay, so that balled really nicely, like this. And you notice there's oxidation. Don't worry about that. You can, I'll use soap and water to get rid of it. It's just soot, like smoke. And there we have it. It's balled up, and I'll show you a different method later. Okay. I love how dramatic it is when it's longer. So I'm going to decide and maybe do 1 inch and 3/4. So in this way you can decide however long, and then we can cut it. The other thing is, you can, if you have wire, put it through, and deciding how long you want it to drape, see how you like that. And then here's a trick. when you cut that off, this will be a pair. You cut it the length and you cut the top, and now you have exact pair. You do not have to measure out the lengths. So I think I like that. And then what I'm going to do right now is demonstrate for you how I want that. So I'll make sure that it is the same height. Okay. I cut that off. You see, I'm not sure if you can see. Like this. And then at the top, that link right here that I don't want anymore, I cut it off. So now you have a very quick way of having a pair. So we do the same thing again. Make sure I cut that flush. Make my little circle like this. Move it back so that it's about halfway up top. You hear that? So there. Open it. Loop my chain back on. And I'm going to, because I can't see it very well, I'm going to push the loop closer. And then click on it so that I know it's closed. And now we're ready to weld. Now, I'm going to turn it back to 3.5 watts. If I can, so you can see it. Requires a light touch. And the thing is, you're not seeing very well. And the good thing is you can just redo this part. You can just cut off and re-loop it. Okay. That's also good. Takes a little bit of practice, but don't get it discouraged if you don't get it right away. Okay, so again, what we're going to do is we're going to straighten it out by holding onto it and then gently moving it so that it's perfectly aligned. Now we're going to thread more beads. Okay, so I've done the same thing, moved it along, and I've chosen the biggest one that I could find to match the other side. Bottom. And pushing back, I leave about 2 millimeters. Holding onto that, move it up to 6 watts. Okay, so it's a little bit long, and I'm going to do it again. Okay, and there we go. And that's done. Actually, I really like the smokiness at the bottom. I'm going to clean it. And here, now I've got the hooks. Pivot open like this. Don't ever take pliers and yank it open like this, because then it's hard to get back the circle. But if you pivot up, it will remain circular. And then I'm going to put this through. And there is close this, pushing it this way so that you're not twisting the bottom, but you're having this entire thing flat while you're pushing down so that it stays straight like this. And then I'm going to close this in. Because it is gold filled, the hook, I'm not going to bother with, and it's secure because it's deep enough, but I'm not going to weld it. You can if you want to. And then I'm going to arrange the stone beads. I'm going to give you a close-up. I want to take a moment to show you this. This is the way it stands, and I can change rearrange the stones to straighten them out later. But as it drapes, you can see my little loop down below. It doesn't bother me, but I kind of like it like this better. So what I'm going to do is remove one link from the top, and I'll rotate it this way as it hangs. So that's exactly what I did. I removed one of the links up top, and now when it drapes, like this. And I'm going to now use soap and water and clean the bottom. And here are long earrings. And all I did was taken this at the bottom with a bit of soap and water. I scrubbed it clean in a matter of seconds. And I like the length of these. What do you think?
I hope you found that episode to be interesting. And if you did, please like and subscribe and comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And actually, it helps the algorithm. I'm a wholesaler of premium quality chains and findings, as well as micro welders. I'm going to leave a note below, a little bit more information about our company and what you've seen in this video.